Hi guys, this is Mrs. Rhodes, and I'm going to take you through lesson 2 for Tuesday this week and week 4. What we're doing for this lesson is we're now going to graph square root functions and their inverses and identify the properties of each, but we're really focused on getting the inverse of the square root function and writing it correctly because it's going to be a parabola with a restricted domain. So let's look at this. It says without a calculator, graph each of the functions with 2 to 3 points, determine the key characteristics of the graph. So this is a square root function, and as we know, we've gone through this before. I'm just going to go ahead and do the parent function. Y equals the square root of x, and we did 0, 1, and 4 are the x values we like. So that's 0, 1, and 2 are the y values we like. Now let's go ahead and look at what kind of transformations. This is a transformation on x. It's inside the function. Whatever the transformation is on x, we do the opposite. So if this says -1, we add 1 to all the x values. And then if whatever is produced out of this function is a y value, and then that y value is just going to have -3. If I'd had a 2 in front, then the 2 would be multiplying by the y, but we don't have that case. So 0 plus 1 is 1, 1 plus 1 is 2, 4 plus 1 is 5. 0 minus 3 is -3, 1 minus 3 is -2, and 2 minus 3 is -1. These are my ordered pairs for this graph. So I'm going to go ahead and graph it. So I'm at 1, -3, I'm at 2, -2, and then I'm at 5, -1. All right, so this is my function. All right, the endpoint of this function is I'm sorry, that's not correct, is +1, -3. The domain starts at a +1 and goes on forever to infinity. And the range starts at a -3 and goes forever to infinity. Or another way to write that is y is greater than or equal to -3. And this could be x is greater than or equal to 1. All right, transformations. Well, we always write our transformations left to right. So the first thing starting from the left going to the right is we went 1 right, a horizontal shift right, and then we went down 3. All right, so now it says graph F inverse on the same grid. So in order for me to graph F inverse, which I'm going to do, this was F, so now I'm going to do F inverse. I just have to flip around the X and Y values. So this is going to be the F inverse of X over here. So this is going to be a -3, 1, a -2, 2, and a -1, 5. So -3 and 1, a -2 and 2, and a -1 and 5. Let me see. I'm not sure I like this. I did the 0.3. That's the problem. I knew that didn't look right. So this is what this graph looks like. So I graphed F inverse on the same grid. And so this is, let me just give it its name. That's F inverse. And this one is F. And F passed the horizontal line test. So my inverse passes the vertical line test. Determine the equation of F inverse, restrict the domain if necessary. So let's go ahead and get that inverse equation. So this is going to be, I'm just going to switch the X and Y right now. So I'm going to have X is equal to the square root of Y minus 1 and then a -3. So the first thing I need to do is move that 3. So this is X plus 3 equals the square root of Y minus 1. And now I'm going to go ahead and square this right here. So I have now X plus 3 quantity squared is equal to Y, which is going to be the F inverse of X. All right, well, so let's go ahead and look at our graph. Does it match? And the answer is no, it definitely does not match. All right, so this is a full parabola. This would be a full parabola that looks like this. However, this red graph is only half of a parabola. So if you go ahead and give this to me as your answer, then you are lying to me. You are telling me that I have graphed a full parabola, and that is not the case. So don't be a liar. Go ahead and fix your domain restriction. I have graphed this graph, this red graph, is half of a parabola. It's F inverse of X. Then we write this word, given. Okay, you can write given the domain is -3 to infinity, or you can say for or given x is greater than or equal to -3. Okay, and we're going to look at that part for a minute, because you might go ahead and look at that part and say, well, how would I know which x values to mark this domain if I didn't graph it? And if you remember, the inverse function domain is the same as the range value of the original function. And let's look. The original function domain range, is right here. So now that is going to be the domain of my parabola or my inverse. So once again, the original function's range is the inverse's domain. All right, let's go to the next problem. So this one says 2x plus 10, 2 square root x plus 10 plus 3. So let's go ahead and make our parent function again. So the parent function here is 0, 1, and 4, 0, 1, and 2. So now let's go make a table for this. First, let's look at what's happening at x. X plus 10, so we do x minus 10. We always do the opposite of what's happening to 2x. Y's, however, this produces a y value. And so this is going to be multiplying by a y value that's produced and then adding 3. So that's what I'm going to do. Those are my tabletops. I call them tabletops. Let me erase this now. And what we're going to do here is I'm going to take all these x values and plug them in for this x. And I'm going to take all these y values and I'm going to plug them in for this y. So now let's go ahead and start with the x values. The x values, 0 minus 10 is -10. 1 minus 10 is -9, and 4 minus 10 is -6. All right, let's do the y values. So 2 times 0 plus 3 is 3, 1 times 2 is 2, plus 3 is 5, and 2 times 2 is 4, plus 3 is 7. Yes, that's correct. Okay, so now let's go ahead and graph this. So this is going to start at -10, +3. And then it's going to be -9, 5. So it goes over 1, up 2. And then it goes over 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, up 4 at 7. So that's the correct graph. All right, now it says, let's get the endpoint. The endpoint is -10, 3. That's important. The domain is from -10 to infinity, and the range is from +3 up to infinity. The transformations, when we write transformations, we go left to right. So I have a vertical dilation by 2. That's the first thing. Then I have that plus 10. So that's going to be left 10, and then I'm going up 3. Now it says graph inverse of f on the same graph. So I'm going to just flip these graphs around. Flip the function around, the x and y. So it's 3, -10, 5, -9, and 7, -6. So 3, -10 is right here. 5, -9 is right here. Well, this is a wide parabola. And 7, -6. So this goes like this. And it does look like they reflect over the line y equals x. This is the line y equals x. So it does look like they're flipped over this line. All right. So now it says determine the equation of my inverse function. So let's go ahead and do this together. Actually, I need to get that equation right up here. It's 2x plus 10 plus 3. So this is going to be x. Oops, let me change color. X is equal to 2 square root y plus 10 plus 3. So remembering that I have to move the outside first before I can attack anything in here. So it's going to be x minus 3 is equal to 2 times the square root of y plus 10. And what you need to remember here is you cannot square this yet because the 2 is not under the square root. Only the y plus 10 is. So get rid of the 2 first. So now it's x minus 3 divided by 2 is equal to the square root of y plus 10. Now I can square this. So now my function is this x minus 3 divided by 2 quantity squared is equal to y plus 10. So my inverse equation is equal to x minus 3 divided by 2 squared minus 10. All right, once again, just like in the other one, this is a parabola. So because this is a parabola right here, let me erase that too and make it prettier for you, means that that's a full-on parabola. But that's not what I have here in blue. I actually have a horizontally dilated half of a parabola. So now let's go ahead and rewrite this then. This is not the correct equation. The correct equation for F inverse is F inverse of x equals quantity x minus 3 divided by 2 squared minus 10, given that all the x values are greater than or equal to 3. Or you could write given a domain of 3 to infinity, which, by the way, matches the range of the original function. Okay, that's where I'm going to stop. I hope this was clear for you, and you guys have homework assignment on the homework assignment for you to do, 2 problems.